Okay, so when your program runs, always actually you need to prepare for a failure. This is a developer first strategy. Always you need to prepare for a failure. It's something like you are learning a bike. Right? You always prepare with all equipment, right? With a head guard, helmet, and all. Actually, you will always prepare. Even if you fall down, you shouldn't get hurt. That's what you will prepare, right? So similarly here also, like you need to prepare as a developer. When you are writing a program, you need to prepare for failures. The failures can happen, known failures or unknown failures. You need to prepare for both of them. Known failures is something like, okay, if you are jumping onto, if you are learning a bike, right? If you are going out of the road, if somebody is coming to you, etc., etc. Unknown failures are maybe a rain coming, how you can handle the rain. These are the things like unknown things, unknown known things. Okay. So in our case, right, that's why actually exceptions we have. So exceptions we have. Throwable is the topmost class, and it has exception and error. Think that these are unknown things actually, which you can't even predict. Some some mad guy is coming on your way. All right, you can't even predict what he's going to do with you. Okay, and exception is something known thing. Runtime exception is, as I mentioned, if you are prepared with all everything, but if rain comes, these are the things like which you cannot expect during the program. Those are the things actually which are not in your control. Exceptions are which are in your control, where you can recover it. Okay, so now in this program, right, what we do, uh, a student, uh, we will first see like how you can handle a known exception. Uh, known exception means the general exception, which is not a runtime exception. Uh, if a student applies for this job, and we will check for minimum age, right? That's what actually minimum age should be matching. We have actually a student here. By looking at the date of birth, if his age is not at least 18, right, according to Indian labor law, he is not allowed to work. That's a pretty much known thing. So we will keep that as an exception. So how we will do that? We'll create an exception. Again, we'll create an exception package first. It's always good practice to keep all exception in a separate package. So we'll create age limit exception. So in this exception, when you, its exception is nothing but it's a class only. Only the difference is it extends exception class. Okay. Only the difference is it extends exception class. So likewise, actually, we have numerous exceptions in Java itself, but it's always good to have your own custom exception, because you can have your own control, like how you can, what you want to do it, what kind of information you can send it to user, and how they can handle it. Okay. Now what I will do, it's always good to have exception, right? If you notice, actually exception is having multiple overloaded constructors. Okay. We will, because we are creating our own custom exception, we'll create uh, we'll create our own error message and error code. Error code is something like where it's like uh, it's a code for a message. Something like, okay, somebody cannot understand the message. but they can easily understand the codes, right? So we will try to put like error code in the error along with the message. Okay. Let's create a constructor. So which has like string error code, string error message. Okay. I'm creating error code local variable. Okay, again, why I am creating final here?
Because to be constant, we can't change the value.
Right. I don't want to change it. When I'm passing down the line, actually, when propagating the exception, I don't want this error code to be changed. If they want, they can wrap into a different exception, but I don't want the error code need to be changed. So this is my constructor. In constructor, when you want to call any superclass, right, always it should be the first statement. So this dot error code equals to error code. I am giving it, and now actually here I am passing error message. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. Always actually, if you are calling your super constructor or super class variables, always actually you need to give it to your parents. It's in general life how your parents will give it to you generally. First they will feed you first and then they will eat it, right? So anything first actually they will give it to you first and then they will take the rest of things, right? But it's a reverse. You need to satisfy the parent class first and then the child class. So this is the way actually I created my custom exception. Also what I'm going to do, I'm going to implement a toString method here. What I want, how I want my exception to be printed. If anybody is printing, okay. I want, the only difference I want is I want error code to be printed along with this one, along with the error message. Okay. Error code is something I will put application, student application, HT app. Maybe I will create 100 is my error. Okay. Okay. So here I will only handle error message like this. These are actually, I will use it later. So this get message, I'm calling from superclass. It goes to superclass. Okay. This is actually what I passed here in my error message. When I case super right, it's going to message. And this is what actually I will be getting in the get message as well. So what I'm doing, I'm just printing error code and error message in my exception. So how I will use it here? When a student actually, when a student applies here, I'm slightly changing my application apply method. When a student uh, apply here, so this is a known exception. So I'm throwing it from here. It has to be in the throws class. All known exceptions means checked exceptions. That's why actually these are checked exceptions. What checked exception is, like when you are riding a bike, uh, whether helmet is there, whether knee guard is there, whether arm guard is there, whether shoe is there. These are the things actually prepared when you are riding a bike. So that's why they call like a checked exception. So are you handling them? Like put them in the check box, right? Put them like you are handling, you are handling, you are handling. Okay. That's why there's called like a checked exception. So how we'll throw the checked exception? Uh, so we'll create a separate method here. Just for it's not needed to create a separate method. I'm just checking reusability code. I'm writing a reusable code. Public void check for check age. Right. So it's a private method. Student. So yesterday I explained what is the calendar advantage. So I will use the calendar here. Calendar. So there is a method called add here, where you can increase or decrease the today's date. So as you all know, actually calendar will give you the current date here. This will give you current date. How you will give the current date? Calendar dot get date. Get time will give you the current date. Okay. New date with current date and time. Okay, but we are not using this one. What I am doing here, we are subtracting year to 80. We are subtracting year to minus 18, because we are checking this method. What it does, the main functionality of this one, checks if a student is at least 18 years old. Right? That's what this method will do. If not, throws age limit exception. So I'm putting in the Java docs as well. Age limit exception will throw it when if student age is less than 18 years. Okay, this is what actually it will do, right? So what I'm doing here, calendar dot add. Add method is for both addition and subtracting. So what I'm going to do, there is a field. The first field is what you want to add. So I want to add year minus 18. By today, actually, whenever he is applying, as of that day, he should be like 18 years old. So I got like from for today's date, I got like minus 18 years old. Now what I'm checking, student age should be greater than this date. So I have actually date of birth, student dot get DOB, right? And here actually I have various methods. I will use the compare to. You know that compare to will give you greater than, less than, or equal, right? Or you can use like after also. If student is after this calendar dot get time. So I already told you get time will give you the date object. So I am comparing two date objects here. Get date of birth is a date. Student dot get DOB is a date. Okay. Uh, okay. Calendar dot get time is also giving you a date. So we are checking date after another date. This method will give you if this date is greater than this date or not. Actually, we need to do reverse, right? Yeah. Or we need to do before. Yeah. Before method will, if student.dob is less than calendar dob, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw new age limit exception. So this is where actually you will throw the exception as a service provider. When you are writing a program and you want to make sure everybody else actually to aware of uh, your your issues, right? So you will handle like this. You will declare your method as throws, and you will throw whenever that certain scenario comes. Right? So I am passing two attributes. You can also pass just like this because it's already a overloaded constructor, right? You can also pass. You can also create without creating any of these things, or you can also create uh, age limit exception. Okay. But the only thing is you are not passing the error code. So we don't want a default constructor. We want pass through only error code. So let's see. Job portal, age limit. So my app, HT app, okay, 100, one is my first error, and the error message is what I typed here, age limit exception. Yeah, student is underaged. He or she should be at least 18 years old.
Sir, I didn't get why we are not using after over here. You first used after, right? Why are you using before once again? I mean, once again.
Yeah, okay. That's why, right? This student is, let's say, actually it's coming 1990, 10, 10, for example, hypothetically. The student is coming 1990, 10, 10. And here, what is exactly 18 years from now? Uh, Today date is 08. 25. Year is 2022, right? This is what we will get it. So 2022 minus 18 is 2004. Am I right? Okay, you are right. It should be after. It should be after. I'm sorry. So now actually, if in 1990 is after 2004, which will satisfy our condition. No. Sorry, Sumna. It should be before, right? My condition is if it is before, I need to throw the exception. If he is underage, if student age is underage, okay, this condition will pass it, right? So same way, let's say take somebody actually 2005 0607. This is what actually they applied the date. If they applied the date, so let's compare this one. This is before this date. Which is true, right? Which is true. 2005 is before 2000. I'm confused again. 2005 is after 2005. So we need to throw the exception. If it is before, we shouldn't throw the exception. You are right, Sona. I'm sorry, I'm confused actually. At the same time, this one dot after this date will fail. This is false because this is before. So we need to check after. If student age is after the date, we need to throw exception. Okay, so far any questions in this method?
No, sir.
Okay, so before, after you understand, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here, the very first thing, check for age. The very first thing actually what I'm going to do, check age. And then I'm passing the student. It's just actually reusable code. Maybe I will write another method, right? It's a list of, I have one more method where I can apply only for a particular job also. So, but I am actually doing for all the jobs here. So it throws age limit exception. I am calling a reusable method here, check age, and which will check for age. And if he is underage, it will throw the exception. Right? This is what actually you will do it. So when you are, this is who does this one? When you are renting a bike, or let's say actually you are renting a bike, he will ask you, oh, what is the checklist, right? Whether you have helmet, whether you have all the guards and all. That's what he will do it. Okay. You need to have like in a small checklist paper, he will give you like do you have this one, this one, this one, this one. If you check all these things, then he will go and execute the program. So similarly, our apply method, we need to change it now because they are already checklist here. The checklist is you should handle age limit exception. So let's handle that. How we can handle? In Java, we can handle exceptions through try catch block. That's what we learned it. So we need to add try here. And here comes catch. What we need to catch? We need to catch age limit exception. So what I will do here, I'm not handling that, but actually I'm printing what my message is. Okay. Yeah, just print this AE, what it is. I will get that total message, right? I will get what is AE. So similarly here also I'm doing it. Okay, now if you run it, okay, I need to change this one to block. Okay, now if you run it, you will see actually if there is any underage. But as of now, we are not passing any underage student here, right? So let's create one more method out of this one and see actually how we can check this underage. So he born somewhere September 30, some Gamma student. And it does not matter actually what we are passing here. Even if he don't have any skill set, or he has all skill set. For example, maybe he's a prodigy. He has all skill set here. So let's assume that he has all skill set and year of passing is yeah, let's keep that one. He passed within 15 years, he passed everything. He is a prodigy. He has all the skill set as well. So let's see actually how it works for him. I'm going to here and I'm calling this method now. I'm calling this test case. Okay, let's see actually what happens with this program. See, we got an error. Error, we handled it as well. When a student is applied, it actually went for checking. First, it is checking for a age, and then it is going for this one, right? So at the same time, if I apply for a Java job, let's see now, you will not see this time differentiating all the methods. So let's run now. For both of them, actually, we got student is underage. Why? Uh, he should not be underage, right? Yeah, let's debug once why it is throwing that one. This is coming from a student with a 1990 date of birth. His date of birth is 1990. Okay. The problem is how you created this student. It's 1990. It's coming like a 3080, etc. Right? Should use this one. Now let's execute it. Yeah. See, for student one, he applied a job. Yes, no issues. Because his date of birth is 1990. He is not coming in underage quota. At the same time, student 3 is actually is underage student. So yeah, so he is an underage student. So actually the exception is thrown, and we are handling the exception as well, and that's why we are printing a decent message. If it don't happen, if you don't, these are the things actually where you must handle at one point. So there is another way that it's not necessarily you need to handle this exception only, because it's like an exception category. When you are writing programs, right, you will see like a lot of known checklists. Okay. Even in the checklist uh, items, actually, there is one broad category, right? Check for all. This comes under that one. So if I want same thing, right? Let's go here, my main method. This is the actual right way of handling that exception. It's not necessary to handle this way only. What you can do, you can also handle through a broad category. So now let's say delta. He is of 2005, also 2004. Almost same skill set. So instead of handling age limit exception, what I'm going to do, I can handle exception also. This means not only age limit exception, okay, anything else also actually will come and handle here. Something where student name is okay. Now what I'm going to do, this one, right? I'm creating a null here. I'm passing a null. Okay. I'm intentionally passing null here. So here actually I'm expecting a null pointer exception. Oh, it will not come because it won't come. So let's see. Yeah. So let's look into this one first, and then we'll see. So it's not necessarily that I have to catch the appropriate exception. Sometimes catching, you can catch as many exceptions as possible. Okay. So let's create one more exception for our use case. So what I'm going to do, I'm also creating like a no skill set found exception. This is also extends exception. So always exceptions are any custom exception handle either runtime exception or exception, or at least throwable, one of that category. In my job portal, what I will do now, my next condition is, here it is. If student dot get skill set is equals to null, or student dot get skill set dot or is empty, directly I will check is empty method, then what I'm going to do, throw no skill set found exception, and this is my another error code 202. Student must write their skill set. Okay, so this is another exception I am throwing it now. So you can throw as many number of exceptions by using comma here in the method declaration. Okay, throw new. So you are creating an instance and then throwing it. So you can throw clause is this one. Throws clause, the difference between throw and throws, again, look at this one. Throw is actually when you are throwing an exception. Throws is actually your checklist item. Like, okay, this throws this exception, this throw exception, this exception, and this is comma separated. That goes as a method declaration. Okay. Now let's go back. I'm throwing multiple exceptions now. Let's go back here. Where is my main program? So when you are doing this one, you need to handle, for all of the things you need to handle exceptions. So whatever in the throws block, you need to handle them. So it's no skill set found exception. So here you can print, you can just print stack result. We are not handling as such, but actually here your exception handling mechanism will come. What it is actually we'll know that in coming classes. So here, right, we are doing this one. This is same because actually we are not handling anything here, right? We are just printing it. So also we can do multiple exceptions here itself in the R class. This is R. These both are same. All you need to handle that exception. Handle all exceptions in the catch class. These two method, this one, both are same. Here I will still handle. So this one, method 1, method 2, method 3, almost same. How we are handling that exception. So we are still passing that method, right? We are our checklist is completed. Okay, I'm handling this one. What I'm handling, they won't care it. Like you are checking when you are renting a bike. Actually, you will check that. Okay, I have my helmet, I have my knee guard, I have everything, right? That's what. Okay, I handled it. Okay, and here. So here, right, we are coming for the next one, right? Why it's not showing any error? Okay, here it's not showing any error because it's exception. If you notice, actually, there are 3 variations of the catch block I added here. One is handling each and everything individually. One is adding exceptions with R clause. Similar exceptions with R clause, actually, I can handle them as well. And the other one is I can, no matter what, actually, whatever the exception you throw it, I am handling it here. So this can handle any exception category. It does not matter. Any exception that comes, right, it will handle inside the block. Okay, why it is, but this is not advised. I will come to that point in a minute. So far, any questions again? Catch blocks. How we can handle catch blocks? Catching individual exception, catching individual exception with R block, catching a broad category with exception category. Everything is same. I mean, everything in the same sense. You can handle these many ways, actually, the exception to make sure your program is working. Let's see now what happens. What is this silence? You are able to understand or you are not able to understand?
Able to understand.
Okay. Is it same for everyone, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I am running the program. Let's see. The first guy, we are able to apply him. Second guy, we are getting we are able to get like error message. For third guy also we are able to get error message. So what we will do now, we will try this guy passing a empty list. We will make him above age. 2006 is above age. It's under age. Let it be. I'll create one more method if you want. So I will pass the age criteria, this one, 2007. But I will give empty skill set. And this one is expected that actually I will get a no skill set found exception. No, I need to go back, right? It should be like a 2002. Sorry. See, now I got a different exception for empty skill set. Say results that student must write their skill set in the application. They need to write their skill set. Without skill set, I will get that exception. That's what you will keep getting your exceptions. Okay. That's how you can handle multiple exceptions. Now we will know why I need. Now you might got like a question. If this is very simple with one simple exception, why I need to declare these many exceptions and why I need to catch them? Right? That's fair question. Everybody should get that question. That is because if I want to handle something, right? Let's say I have my job portal. Okay, here not only apply, so what it does, it only apply as intern student is there. One more method, hypothetically. My business case is if he is underage student and he has skill set, then apply him as a intern student. Don't hire him, but hire him as an intern student. That allows, right? So I want to add that one. Okay, my here by looking at age limit exception, if I get like any age limit, for example, underage student with a prodigy, with this one, right? Yeah. He is a prodigy, right? So if I am applying him gamma, and I want to make sure, sorry, I want to if he fail in a first, actually I am applying for all the jobs, whatever it is. If he failed in job, and if it says that actually age limit as underage or age limit exception, then what I want to do, I want to apply him in a different way. I want to apply him as a intern. Okay, for the time being, let's make it true. So what I'm going to do here, in this case, this R case is not a good example. So what I will do, I will remove this one. Catch. Okay, so I will print that one. Now actually what I will do, I am reapplying. So it's asking you actually, maybe it asks you, okay, can we apply you, it throws like an underage exception. Now it is asking you, can we reapply as a intern employee? Yeah, so maybe you said yes, then it goes to apply as an intern employee. So portal dot apply as intern student. Okay, this is what happened. So even though if it is exception, but the way I handle exception is different. That's why actually we need to have a different type of exception. When it's similar to it's similar to your checklist. Let's go back to our bike example, real life bike example. You went to a bike rental company and you were asking a bike rental. You check that why there is each and every although actually he mentioned as a broad category check all, and you still need to sometimes actually you will still need to check each and every point also, right? Why? Because you need to have the appropriate strategy. So for example, if you don't have gloves, what should you do? Then you can write as a I'm very much trained already. I don't need gloves. Even if I fell down, I will take care of myself. A declaration, you will handle it. But the same declaration may not be applicable for the helmet. He will say that no matter what, actually, if you are a very experienced in bike ride or anything, if without helmet, I will not give you a bike. That's a standard condition. For other things, maybe he will ask you for a declaration. Okay, if you don't have shoe, right? Maybe he will ask you to write some declaration that, okay, I'm taking care of myself. That's what it is. So age limit, actually, we are uh, handling it and we are reapplying for as an intern. Okay, uh, whereas actually uh, the no skilled exception, we are not handling as of now. We are just still throwing it as is. Okay. In this case, right, this exception, how you can, if you want to handle it here, the same way, this exception is not possible. It's still possible, okay, but it's like a tedious if I want to handle it, right? So what I need to do here in the exception logic, I need to check age limit exception. Then otherwise this one. So this if else logic actually I need to add in the again if a instance of, for example, actually there is no skill set found exception also there. Then some logic. So it becomes like a tedious. In exception logic, it becomes more and more actually you need to add if else blocks because exception category is very broadly defined here. The catch defined as a broad exception category. Whereas here you are catching each and every exception. Okay. So what you are doing here, if age limit exception, you are reapplying. If it is a no skill set exception, you are not doing this one. This is much better than this one, right? Which one you feel better? Going, it's like a switch case. Going into appropriate block or going into a common block and then checking each exception type and then handling it. Which one you feel better?
Going with an appropriate block will be easy.
Correct. Going with appropriate block is easy. Right? So that's why actually we will generally use, we will catch each and every exception. So if you rerun this one, student age with underage, right? See, for this one, we are reapplying him as a intern student and his apply is true. For rest of the cases, we didn't handle them. So it's his apply is still false. Okay. Now let's see, we'll also see the application exception. Let's see that we also have like a broad category for all application. We have like an application exception. Okay, now, okay. Let me show you one thing. Here we have age limit exception. We have constructor. We have toString. Here also same thing, right? There is not much difference. Now you may think that why we need multiple exceptions. Why can't actually we wrap them? Why can't we create as a single exception type? Yes, that's what even my idea is. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to create application exception. I created. So I'll copy paste whatever here it is exactly. This throws, sorry, extends exception. Okay, so I created this one. The intention is actually why I need to have this logic, because all I am creating with a separate error code and all right. Why I want this one. So now what I will do, I will remove this, I will comment out this one. And instead of extending this exception, I will extend application exception. Okay, so I will extend application exception and I will just create only constructor. Same way here also, no skill set found exception also. I will take out everything. I'll create application exception and I will create appropriate constructor also. I'll create appropriate exception type also. So this is, I can do it. As such, there is no impact on my main program or my job portal application. There is no impact. It still works as is. There is no issue. Right? Now what I want to do, same thing again. There might be some other in my job portal, right? Okay, I have another condition in my job portal. If student passed out year is not mentioned, I want to throw as an application exception. I am not. Yeah. So if student passed out year is not mentioned, or if it is 0, right? I want to throw it as an application exception. So let's say here is another condition. If student dot get year of passing less than or equals to 0, then throw new application exception. Maybe this is. So this is what actually I have, right? Now the one way is, again, this is a superclass of these two exceptions. So how can I throw this one? Can I throw this one here? Yes, we can throw this one. But actually see here, as soon as you throw this one, these two turn gray. That means actually you don't need to throw this one. You can simply throw a superclass exception only. Okay, application exception, you can simply throw it. But The same thing, if you do this, okay, same thing happened. It just throws that. You don't need to throw them. If you throw, that's well and good. In the throws declaration, but all subclasses, you don't need to define them in the throws class. So that's also like we can still avoid this one, but doesn't mean that actually I here in the main program. Okay, first actually let's take, we are creating each and every exception. Now, right, first actually let me explain the catch block, how we can handle it. Now, right, here my application exception came first. So you think that actually I'll go here. Yeah, I'll go here, apply for Java, right? So here I create another catch block for application exception. Another catch block for application exception. Let's say that I'm just doing print status here. Yeah. I'm not doing anything. This is not allowed. When you catch exceptions, right, you need to follow the hierarchy, exception hierarchy again. Exception hierarchy is you can only catch the parent after the child's. First, actually, child will come. So if you do this one, basically it will tell that why we are here. It's like a pipette, you can take that, right? How you can filter it. You can only put like a small items first and then big items next. So you know that actually the exception catch blocks are similar to switch case statement. The only appropriate case will handle. If your appropriate case is found in the very beginning, then why to go with the next cases, right? You don't need to go with the next cases. But if you want still handle them, this has to be the after this category. Okay. Make sense?
Yes.
The exception, this is actually super class, right? This is the parent class of other two exceptions. This is a parent class of age limit exception and this one. And this catch block here works as a, if you are defining individual exceptions, it works as a switch case statement. If you define this one right here, you are only getting 3 types of exception according to your job portal. Okay, one is age limit exception, no skill set exception, and one is more of a broad side application exception. You are getting it. If you are getting in the beginning itself, if you are catching right, it comes here and it checks switch. This condition will be satisfied because no matter what, actually, whether this age limit exception is of type application type exception only. Age limit exception is of type application exception only. That's why this condition will be satisfied and it will execute. These two will never get a chance to execute. That's why actually you need, if you want to handle them, you need to follow the exception hierarchy in the catch blocks. Now, that's one thing. Second one is, you don't need to define each and everything again here. It's okay. You can have only one type of exception. You don't need to define here. I will just comment it out. So it's okay. Your main application, still all you need to handle this way. for each method. Yeah, here, right, again, look at this one. I'm handling at very broad category, right? Exception. Exception is on top of my application exception. Where is my exception is superclass, exception superclass is our application exception superclass is exception. That's why here, sorry, here I don't need to define again the catch block. I am already handling that one as a super exception. Here also same thing. So now let's check actually how we can handle it for a student with year is 0. Here, before coming here, I'm handling application exception. Now actually I'm printing, I'm using a print structures, which will print all the exception factors. So here I'm passing 0. Zeta, new student. Skill set is there. Java is his skill set. He is not underage. Apply without year of passing is my method name. I'm calling another method again here. Let's try to execute it. See, apply without year of passing, we are getting a print stack trace. Year of passing is missing here. But actually, if you look into this one, what we are doing, the broad categories, first level of category is coming here and then going here. Similarly, I can have actually no skill set found exception. I can also print status for this one. But here we are maintaining the exception hierarchy. The same method, for example, just for your convenience, actually I'm saying that if I am passing empty skill set, what it will come? It will come here and fail it. Let's say that I'm also printing. Let's see what it will print. I'm rerunning it again. Without skill set, when we are checking it, 1 second, job portal, check student age, and then skill set, right? Skill set is empty. First we are checking age and then skill set. So it should come here, it should fail. ST002. But we are getting 03. 1 second. Okay, I'm going inside the method. To step over into the method, we will use step into. Uh, I mean, getting into the method. So I'm going into the method. Step over means it will execute and come back. Step into means it will go inside the method. See, now actually I will do step over. That means actually I'm not going into that method. It completed. Okay, it's taking empty also. Okay. Got it. So I will not even pass anything. Let's see now. See, now actually I got my exception criteria. So we are getting student student must write their skill set, the application, because the skill set is empty. Same thing, if I change it a little bit again, going back, if he has skill set, okay, it will come into this block. See, it came to this block. This is printing. And the message is also different. Okay, so the exceptions, again, it comes to the catch block in a hierarchy. First, the most new child will come first, and then the next child, and then the parent will come. Child in the catch block, child first, parent next. And in the when you are throwing the exception, if you don't need to throw, for example, actually, you don't need to declare every exception in the throws class. You can define actually only the parent exception or most appropriate parent exception. In this case, actually, what I will do, I will just define application exception. These two are my subclasses. I don't need to define them. But if you notice actually here, I'm still able to catch and I'm still able to print appropriately the exception types. It's the flow is still coming to appropriate exception of blocks. Right. It's not directly coming to application exception. So for example, actually, if I don't pass a skill set, right? Or if I change it, let's say actually, if I change my date of birth, where it will go? It will come because there is no, okay, first let me go back. Let me change here without skill set, empty skill set. So actually it will come here. This method, you can see that the system.out.println, right? Here you will see stapp102 is printing. See, stapp102, and exception type is also of type no skill set found exception. If the same thing, if I revert it, if I am passing this one, it's coming to here. Though actually we are not throwing directly this exception, notice that we are still catching the no skill set exception. In earlier case, right, our throws class does not even have like a no skill set exception, but I'm able to catch it. So in catch block, you can do whatever you want, the appropriate exceptions, even though it's not there in the throws section, you can still catch it and do your own logic. If you feel some exception is coming, if you feel that an exception is not coming, then you can directly go with the application exception, because in this case I know it actually subclasses of application exception. I want to handle it differently. That's why I catch it. Now actually what I will do, I will change the date of birth to, let's say, 2020, a newborn child. Okay. In this case, the very first thing in my job portal is check for age. So it should fail and I should get like an age limit exception, right? As we know it. but I'm not handling age limit exception here. So where it will go? Hello.
Parent exception.
Yeah. So where it is? Where it will go? To the exception block or
Application.
application? Exactly. So it comes like as I told you, most recent child or most appropriate exception. Though I'm not catching up age limit exception, here it is not there, right? So it's not of type age limit exception for sure. It will come here. Let's say actually age limit. It comes here. Okay. It checks actually, is it same type? No, right? Then what happens? It goes here. It's a switch case again, right? Uh, is it of this type? Okay, yes, it goes and execute here. If this is also missing, right, it goes and print here. So let's see that now. See what we got it here. We got here it is. I mean, if you want, actually, we can debug this one. Right? I'm executing this. I'm just stepping over. I don't care like what is happening. I'll put debug points here, here, here. Because age limit is not found, it came here. But if you look into this NP, now step over. If you look into this one, right, it is of type, the NPE is of type age limit exception. See here, you can see it. We are catching it, application exception, but actually what we are catching is, like it's like we put like a bucket. Okay, your milkman comes, right? Milkman, you will take like a 1 liter, you will take like a half liter, anything. If you take, if your required milk is 1 liter, and if you are taking like a half liter bowl, that's a problem. If your requirement is half liter milk and you are taking like a 1 liter milk bowl, then it's not a problem. It still can handle it, right? So that's what it is happening. The bigger bowl can handle anything. So this is actually your smaller bowl and you are catching at the bigger bowl. So it will handle it, no issues. So it prints as you saw in here, it prints here, it prints here and passes. Okay, any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay, are you guys tired?
No, no.
Okay, come on, everyone, say yes or no. Are you guys tired or?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So far, no questions, right? So I'm reiterating everything.
Okay,
We
sir.
have created a superclass application exception. For all my application exception, this will handle it. And we have actually, because I want to handle it differently for age limit exception and no skill set exception, I want to handle differently. So for in case of age limit exception, I want to, if certain people, right, I want to handle them. If certain people actually does not meet age criteria, then I still want to hire them as an intern because they are good enough in the knowledge. At the same time, no skill set found exception. Maybe what I will do, if they don't have any skill set in that exam, I will ask them actually if they no skill set or they're missing skill set. If they are missing skill set, they can reapply as a new student again. If there's no skill set found. Actually, I haven't handled anything, but maybe down the line, actually, we'll handle it. Suggest a course for them. So in the job portal, we can write suggest a course method, and we will do that one. Okay, that's what whole functionality is. Coming back to exceptions, throws block is what actually whenever you define any exception, any method, if certain you as a developer, it is your responsibility to prepare for failure. Always actually you need to write, you need to prepare when you are writing the code, you need to prepare for failures. Okay, so as that's why actually you need to not only prepare for yourself, you need to make preparations for somebody else, whoever calling this one. For example, this is Kavya is writing this method. Okay, and Smriti is calling this method. So you need to make sure Smriti aware of what is your exceptional criteria are, and how will you make sure? By using throws class. That's where it comes the declaration, method declaration. So Kavya knows it, what the exceptions she can actually oversee. Okay. And Smriti also should agree that, okay, if I am calling your method, I need to make sure these checkpoints. That's why these exceptions are called, whatever it comes in the throws clause, called checked exceptions. And here, this is the way actually you can throw an exception. Whenever certain criteria comes, right, you can use a keyword called throw and then new. After throw block, it won't go to the next. It's almost like a return statement. Once you throw, right, for example, actually, if check exception coming, right, it didn't go to the next block. It didn't go to the next block. After check exception, it directly returned from there only, right? So same way, throw is almost equal to a return statement. It will just exit from the method. As soon as the throw found, right, it just exit from the method. That is in the method. Now the caller program. In the caller, how you can handle exception is, you need to use try and catch. That's what actually your checklist need to be there in your program. When somebody is asserting you that this is my checked exceptions, then you need to handle them in the try catch block. There is no other way. You need to handle them in the try catch block. Catch block can be multiple. There will be like a numerous catch blocks, each for one exception type. Not necessarily. Sometimes each for one block also like will be tedious or look awkward. So it provides certain flexibilities as well. You can write with R block. Here we are not handling, right? So you can write exceptions with R block. So this is exceptions with R block. You can have as many number of R blocks again. You can have like one more R block. Anything actually here. Okay. In R block can continue as many as you want. Or you can also wrap it to a super class of exception like this. You can only catch one exception, super class exception. But again, it all comes to your business requirements, like how you want to handle it. So if you want to handle similar exceptions, right, you can group them using R block like this. Okay, and handle it appropriately. So in this case, right, you are just need to printing exception message. Whereas if it is application exception, you need to print stack trace. So you can do that. So similarly, for if anything comes, right? So now actually, if no skilled exception or anything comes, right, you are applying him as is applied equals to portal dot apply as intern student. This way you can handle it. If age limit exception or no skilled exception comes, you are applying him as an intern. If any other exception of application comes, actually you are not handling it. Okay, that way actually you can use the R block effectively. The other way, as I said, like you can define a broad category of exception, and you can check for each instance of type in the exception block. If it is a particular instance is what is, this is what it is, this is what it is. Okay. Also the other one is, okay, now when you are handling multiple exceptions, you need to follow all catch blocks in a hierarchical order. The first one comes like a most recent child or more appropriate exception. If it is non-related exception, that's fine. If it is related exceptions, right, you need to follow the exception hierarchy. Here age limit exception is age limit exception and no skilled exception. There is no relation between them, right? They are still child of application exception, right? So I can have actually any order. There is no issue with them because those are two siblings of exception or of application exception, two siblings, right? There is no issue in handling the order for them. Every child is same. Okay, so you can have actually their own priority according to you. But if a parent child relation comes, child has to be first in the exception block and followed by parent. Maybe the parents, right? Multiple parents, like the exception, last category is exception. This is also you can handle it by doing this one. So first is the brand new children. Second is a parent exception, and another is a grandparent exception. So all you need to follow the exception hierarchy here in the catch block. Okay, any questions so far?
No, sir.
Everybody okay? Dharani,
Yeah.
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Kavya?
No questions. I don't have any questions.
No question.
Okay. Okay. Now actually we will see runtime exceptions. What are runtime exceptions? As I said, right? If you go to bike rental company, he will only see like a what he oversee certain things like as an exception. As he will put in the checklist. Think that is your exceptional criteria. Okay, you need to have your guards, you need to have your gloves, shoe. These are actually comes under your method declaration as exception. Certain things actually will not even be there in his control. Like a rain comes. If rain comes, actually you need to have a rain jacket or rain equipment. That and all are not there in this one, right? Similarly, even in your program, when Kavya writing this job portal application, she can only see these are her type of exceptions that she oversees. She foresee it, and Smriti is handling them. There might be certain cases where uh, she cannot predict it. Okay, those are comes like a runtime exceptions. Okay, for example, let's say that here, right, one of the skill somebody actually passed null here. I'm writing each and every method as separate method for your reference. When I check in, please, if you have any questions, right, you can always feel free to look into this code. So what I will do, it's a set, right? I can pass one null. A new student, age is also matching, age limit is not there. Student of year of passing of 2020 is mentioned. And everything actually I made sure it's not empty, and for some reason actually there was a null in this one. So what happens, all my criteria are checked here, right? Student name is there, student date of birth is right, date of birth, year of passing is mentioned, skill set is also mentioned, everything is right. That's what I think so, right? But when I am passing in my skill, actually one of the skill was null. So what happens now? Let's see what happens now. Look this one. Null pointer exception. This I didn't see it. Maybe you will see it. Where is print status is coming? I'll remove this. See here, it is coming like a null pointer exception. Maybe here I will do print status. Okay, some null pointer exception is coming. This is not I oversee it, right? But if you notice, this null pointer exception is clearly coming null pointer exception, right? It's not there in the method declaration, but still actually it's coming into the exception block. How it is coming? So these are called like a runtime exceptions. If you look into this definition also, it extends runtime exception. Null pointer exceptions, generally runtime exceptions. So what are runtime exceptions is, like whenever you unknown things happens, right? Then you can throw like a null pointer exception. Throw a runtime exceptions. Those extends runtime exceptions, not exception category. If I go back to my exception hierarchy, those throw runtime exception. These are also called unchecked exceptions because there is no checklist for them, like where you will mention this one, right? For example, in a bike rental company, whether you have like a weatherproof jacket or not, actually he won't check it. He only check like whether you have jacket or not. Whether it is a rainproof or not, it's not his business because he can't predict the weather. Today there might be like a bright day, or today it's still raining. Even though if it is raining, actually he don't, where you are going, he don't know it, right? So that's not in his limits. But still, actually, the exception can happen. You can still catch them. For example, here. And type like. So this will print now, right? Let's say, I'm in exception block. This will print. It's not limited that you cannot handle a runtime exception. You can still handle them. Just 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. You can still handle them in start trace. I mean null pointer exception. So what comes here? When exception happens, just 1 second. Oh, 1 second. So when an exception happens, uh, it comes here, null pointer exception, right? We are still handling null pointer runtime exceptions, right? It is runtime exception. But still we are handling it. So it still can come there. See, I'm in null pointer exception block. And then it came, right? So there is no limit for you to handle runtime exceptions. But only the thing is, you don't need to declare them in the method declaration. Something like this. It's not required. This is not required. That's why they call like a unchecked exceptions. Because they come, that's kind of known but unknown exceptions. They happen without your business. That's not part of your business. We can think like that. Okay. For example, now, right, what happens now? I will create another runtime exception. Let's name this one. Some random name, student application exception. And this extends to create runtime exceptions. We create runtime exception. Extends runtime exception. So here also I will follow the same criteria what I have in the application exceptions. Not much difference how you can create it. Only difference is when you are creating a runtime exception, it should extend runtime exception. That's the only difference. Now I will go to my job portal. What I will do, if my student name, okay, is empty, right, then actually I will throw them as a runtime exception. That's what actually I assume minimum sense that actually student will at least put that student name there. If student is not putting that name, then it's not my one, right? So what I will do here, if student dot get name equals to null, if they pass null student name, or student dot get name is empty, then what I'm going to do, throw new. I'm now going to do student application exception, which is like a runtime exception. Okay. This is what I created. But even though if it is new exception, right, let's assume that actually I'm not handling this for the time being, application exception. Okay, so what I will do, I will remove this. Okay, I have age limit exception, I have no skill set exception. But if you notice this one, this exception is not part of application exception, is not part of student exception, is not part of any other exception. Though I'm throwing it here, it's not complaining to put there in the throws class. There is no compilation issues, right? Why? Why? Because as I said that these are kind of known unknown types. Like they happen not as part of your business, but still actually you are handling. You can handle them, but it's not part of your business. So, right, you no need to notify let's say if Kavya is developing this one, she will at least expect her program, right, to take student name must be there, because she is not actually dealing with this one student name. It does not matter actually what's the student name. All she cares about year of passing, age, and skill set. Name is does not matter for them. So that's what actually she's doing. But if student name is not provided, right, that's what actually she will throw it as a student application exception, as a runtime exception. But it is not there in the throws class. It's not part of the checklist. So now actually Smriti here may, okay, let's say that, let's create another method. Yeah, let's create another apply with empty name. Seven. So I'm passing empty name. Everything is same. Okay. So let's see what happens here. So student apply name, right? We have many catch blocks, but we don't have anything appropriate catch block here. Like it's not, though I'm passing a empty name, it's not part of the method declaration. So this is called like unchecked exception. Okay. Unchecked exception, because it is unchecked exception, I don't know and I am not handling it. But what happens in this case? I am not even handling exception. Okay, what happens in this case? Let's try running this one. For the time being, I will, to avoid confusion, I will comment it out. See, it is still throwing some exception. What exception? Actually, it is not throwing exception in thread main. It directly went to the main program only. It didn't ask you here anywhere. It didn't ask you anywhere, but actually what happened? It happened in the main program. Something like it caught by the main program itself and then throwing it. So that's what the beauty of runtime exceptions. You don't need to handle it, but somewhere somebody has to handle it. So who generally handles that one is by your JVM. In this case, actually JVM handle, right? It's terminated. When it comes, right, it's the program is terminated. So when it is terminated, from line number 67, it's terminated. Nobody is handling them, it's terminated. The same thing actually, if you handle them, like let's say here, catch student application exception. If you handle them, it will come gracefully here and terminate. See, it's not terminated in the main. It's clearly showing like what happened. It came to you here. Okay, it's the wrong text only, but it still came here. See, student name is missing. Here there is no student name is missing plus SAEX. Okay. So this is what actually the beauty of runtime exceptions. So now you might have question that when to go for runtime exceptions, when to go for the checked exceptions. It is completely a design philosophy, like how you want to handle them. Okay. If you want to make aware of your caller that okay, you are throwing some exceptions, then it's always better to give them checklist. Okay, so you are throwing this exception, you take care of this exception. If you feel certain exceptions, for example, in the Java null pointer exception, right? It's the caller responsibility to pass minimum basic things, right? In such cases, right, you can leave them as a runtime exceptions. In this case, in my application case, I'm expecting caller at least pass, even though if not passing year of anything, at least they should pass name. Without name, actually, it's illogical application. I can't actually guide a student program for him, like a training program. I can take him as an intern, and it's no matter actually what his skill set is. So that's why I'm making that as a runtime exception. Okay. And caller, it's caller responsibility to make sure he is passing enough data. If he is not passing, he will get suffer. That's how it is. Okay, that's the small difference between checked and unchecked exceptions. At the same time, the synonym is checked exceptions are also called exceptions. Runtime exceptions also called as unchecked exceptions because those are not part of the throws clause. In your method declaration, you are not defining them in the throws clause. This very, very important question many people will ask. If you know exception handling, the very first question they will ask like, okay, what's the difference between checked and unchecked? Now, can you tell me, like one of you, what is checked versus unchecked? Hello.
Sir.
Yeah, what is the difference between checked and unchecked?